Good morning. This is John Bushka, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about the comparative government video I did last week and just make refine a few points just very quickly. Um, One of them is, I was talking about how when I was growing up, there were certain specific obligations that I sort of had as a boy in the family and to the social climate in which I belonged. And this was starting in the 1940s and then going to the 1950s. And, when I had my childhood and teen years in 1961, when I would graduate from high school, we learned that girls come first and that boys have a chivalrous responsibility to protect girls and women and children. We don't know why that is, because we don't understand biology yet, that women have children and bear children and men don't. And so it's not easy, particularly to shift in your thinking away from your own academic success and your own progress in the world and your own individual standing and agency to being prepared to raise a family and to make that crossover. If you don't have that in you, as I didn't, and we all know why, that process isn't going to happen by itself. So that was just something I wanted to re-emphasize. And people back when I was growing up didn't really get that. They expected it to happen for all young men, and it just didn't. This, of course, was important to protect the viability of the family. And I'm reading from my cell phone. I don't mind showing it. Protect the viability of the family and the extended family and your community and so forth, so it would continue. So there was very, very narrow expectations of certain things that were expected of everybody. Nevertheless, individual people felt that within that framework, they had a lot of personal freedom compared to that in totalitarian countries, which then we were worried about, of course, was the Soviet Union and communism, and communist China for that matter, and later Maoism. Now, I wanted to divert here and say that a recent video by Ryan Chapman, and I'll give the link, discusses nationalism. And it presents the idea that a nation, as opposed to other smaller political units, can often demand self-sacrifice from its citizens while still retaining the idea that individuals have some freedom. Of course, that brings up the subject of the military draft and the fact that it's in this country, selective service registration is still for men, is only for men by sex assigned at birth, which is an issue. And that during the Vietnam era until 1969, we had student deferments, which meant some people were more equal than others, almost like George Orwell. And I also just wanted to add that war and conflict often personalizes the harm and the hurt to people. And of course, we all know what's going on right now in Israel, but of course, the same things have been going on in Ukraine and the same things going on in many regional wars having to do with religion and ethnicity. There are some things about this recent situation that are especially personal, however. I just also wanted to mention that the whole idea of the left, which became much more collectivized, with critical theory as we saw during the pandemic, this idea of taking special precautions with marginalized groups. I think it often comes down to ableism and the fact that as individuals, we often aren't that willing to connect ourselves with people who are less able until things are going well for us ourselves as individuals first. And because that kind of threatens our own agency and our own sense of identity or performativity, if you want to call it. Judith Butler's idea actually has a lot of use. So those are kind of the things I sort of wanted to say. I just wanted to also add, I just want to see if I can add a picture here. And just load a just one image I just wanted to show. And whenever I do this, it changes where it is and I can't find it quickly. Here it is. And it's just me at Freddie's recently last Saturday morning. So I just thought I would share that. And that is my little, note today. I'll have some more videos about fundamental rights and then how we claim them. That's the term I use in practical world, where there are so many external circumstances and where social justice is so important. I'm going to talk about that pretty soon in detail in some videos in the next couple of weeks. And I thank you for listening.